This video is on democracy. So we are going to take a look at a couple of important events in history that happened starting in the year 1215 that really set the stage hundreds of years later for the Declaration of Independence for the United States. So let's take a look. So we have the Magna Carta. I think I said 1215, but actually 1225. So anyway, thanks to years of unsuccessful foreign policies and heavy taxation demands, England's King John was facing down a possible rebellion by the country's powerful barons. Under duress, he agreed to a charter of liberties known as the Magna Carta, or the Great Charter, that would place him and all of England's future sovereigns within a rule of law. Though it was not initially successful, the document was reissued with alterations in 1216, 1217, and 1225, and eventually served as the foundation for the English system of common law. Later generations of Englishmen would celebrate the Magna Carta as a symbol of freedom from oppression, as would the founding fathers of the United States of America, who in 1776 looked to the Charter as a historical precedent for asserting their liberty from the English crown. So, very, very important historical moment, the Magna Carta. You need to know that one. And we have another important one, which is the common law's Habeas Corpus. It's just one of the most important defenses available against tyranny. By issuing a writ of habeas corpus, a judge or court may compel those holding a prisoner to produce the prisoner and prove that they have legally incarcerated the individual. This is something, I mean, we really take something like this completely for granted in this day and age, but the fact that something like this exists means, of course, that at one time there was not habeas corpus, which means you could incarcerate somebody just for whatever reason you felt like. Right? So these are starting to show some freedoms and liberties for individuals. And then we also have popular sovereignty, or the sovereignty of the people's rule, which is the principle that the authority of a state and its government is created and sustained by the consent of its people through their elected representatives, which is ruled by the people, who are the source of all political power. So again, right now and today, that might sound like, yeah, who cares? It's probably always been like that, but it's really not true. Really not true at all. And then we get into John Locke, right? An important figure in the development of the Constitution and in the Declaration of Independence for the United States. John Locke's political theory of government by the consent of the governed as a means to protect life, liberty, and estate, that's a quote, deeply influenced the United States founding documents. Really, the Declaration of Independence just inserted the phrase pursuit of happiness and took out estate. His essays on religious tolerance provided an early model for the separation of church and state as well. Okay, then we actually get into the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is the statement adopted by the Second Continental Congress meeting at the Pennsylvania State House, which is known as Independence Hall, in Philadelphia on July 4th, 1776, which announced that the 13 American colonies, then at war with the Kingdom of Great Britain, regarded themselves as 13 independent sovereign states, no longer under British rule. These states would found a new nation, the United States of America. The introduction also refers to the laws of nature and nature's God. The Declaration is based on the belief that all people have natural rights, and that they have unalienable rights, rights that no one may take away. These rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So pretty interesting how that process all worked out. Okay. You also need to be familiar with the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was the first written constitution of the United States. Stemming from wartime urgency, its progress was slowed by fears of central authority and extensive land claims by states before it was ratified on March 1st, 1781. Under these articles, the states remained sovereign and independent, with Congress serving as the last resort on appeal of disputes. Congress was also given the authority to make treaties and alliances, maintain armed forces, and coin money. However, the central government lacked the ability to levy taxes and regulate commerce, issues that led to the Constitutional Convention in 1787 for the creation of new federal laws. Okay, so with the Articles of Confederation, what you need to understand is that you essentially had 13 colonies who would become independent states. But at the beginning, they were operating way too much, almost as their own country, And so when you talk about regulating commerce, why was that important? Well, what it meant was you could have a different type of money, type of commerce in each of the states, right? And so that when you went from one state to the next, money that was good in one state might not be good in the next state. So there needed to be some way where there was one type of commerce that was regulated throughout the whole country. And because they couldn't levy taxes, is things like war became very difficult, right? Taxes go up during times of war, and how to finance different operations within the country were just becoming too difficult. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. Proposed following the oftentimes bitter 1787 and 88 battle over ratification of the United States Constitution, and crafted to address the objections raised by the Anti-Federalists. The Bill of Rights amendments add to the Constitution specific guarantees of personal freedoms and rights, clear limitations on the government's power in judicial and other proceedings, and explicit declarations that all powers not specifically delegated to Congress by the Constitution are reserved for the states or for the people. The most commonly referred to amendment of the Bill of Rights is the First Amendment. This includes the freedom of speech, religion, freedom of the press, and more.